After 50 years of the BMW M brand, the company is moving into electric performance. The BMW iX M60 is the third variant of the iX after the xDrive 40 and 50. And while those two models aren't M cars, the iX M60 is. And that means it comes with more power and an M-tuned dual-axle air suspension. All this means that it should deliver driving dynamics worthy of the M brand.
Do you remember not so long ago when I drove the BMW iX? And in that video I mentioned that BMW were recalling some of their cars because they would catch fire. The cars that I was talking about were the BMW iX M60 vehicles. Well, guess which one I'm driving right now? This is the BMW iX M60, and I'm actually quite surprised that I've been able to drive this car. This is the second variant of the iX that I'm getting to drive. I've driven the xDrive 40, and there's one that sits in between, which is the BMW iX xDrive 50. But this is the top model, the M60. This is the halo model. This is the flagship model of the flagship car, which is the BMW iX. This is their new flagship car, and this is what BMW are putting forward as their candidate for the future. So what can I tell you about the BMW iX M60? I mean, I've already gone into depth about the BMW iX, and if you do want to watch that video, I've gone into great detail about the exterior, the interior, and the driving dynamics of the vehicle. Make sure I'll put a card at the top corner of this video. Make sure you click that and check out that video. But in this particular video, I'm just going to talk about this M60 vehicle. So this is BMW's newest M car. This is the M car of the future. Now, of course, we're used to M cars being loud and, you know, the driving dynamics are, you know, probably some of the best in the world. But how does that translate into an electric car? So this particular car, this is the first time BMW have bought their three letters together. They bought the I brand, which is the electric brand, the X brand, which is SUV 4x4 style vehicles, and the M brand, which is, you know, the powerful sports car brand, and they put them all together into one vehicle. So this is basically an exercise in displaying basically what their future is like. This is their showcase. So what do we have? We have an electric motor which produces over 600 horsepower, which gives you a 0 to 60 time of less than 4 seconds. So that's M car territory, sub 4 seconds, 0 to 60 time. Other differences between this and the normal iX are the fact that this car has stiffer suspension. BMW have tweaked the driving dynamics of this car, but it's still quite comfortable. And this car also has the AI, the autonomous assisted driving. So when you're coming up to a junction or when you're coming up behind another car, it will automatically brake for you. I got really used to that when I was driving the xDrive 40, so much so that it made me lazy. But this, of course, is a whole different beast. So the interior of this vehicle is exactly the same as the BMW iX xDrive 40 and the xDrive 50, except this particular one has this beautiful tanned leather. It's a really interesting color actually, and it still has that olive leaf extract, and it's still supposed to be sustainable. So it's pretty much a great place to be, really spacious, great driving position. I still don't know about this hexagonal steering wheel, but it is really good to hold, and it has presence in front of you. You've got the same curved dash, which is integrated into the central infotainment system, and of course the touchscreen, which BMW does quite well. I'll show you the exterior of the car because there are some subtle differences in the exterior as well. So on the outside of this car, the story is pretty much the same as it is with the normal iX models, the xDrive 40 and the xDrive 50. But of course, one thing that I didn't mention in my video last time is the BMW iX employs something called carbon fiber reinforced plastic. So a lot of this bodywork is carbon fiber reinforced plastic. This is something which we've seen in the past in the BMW M3 CSL. So an M car is following what an M car has done, pretty much. There's subtle differences from this car and the normal iX models. You get some bronze accents around the car, and you also get these black and bronze M badges. You get one at the front, and of course the badges at the back as well. That just signifies that this car is a little bit more special, and I really quite like that bronze and black that comes together. It makes the car look a bit more premium. Aside from that, then everything else is the same. You still get this sort of floating roofline effect. You still get 22-inch alloy wheels, and you still get the interesting grille at the front, which is self-healing. Yeah, everything you'd expect in a 100 grand car. So what's this car like to own then? Or what I imagine this car is like to own is pretty good, to be honest. I mean, I know this has the bigger battery, but it's the same size battery as you would get in the xDrive 50, and it charges practically the same as well. You get roughly 0 to 80% charge in half an hour or around 35 minutes. When it comes to power, this car has more power than the xDrive 50, but it sacrifices some of its range. Where in the xDrive 50 you would get roughly around 380 miles of range, in this the claimed range is around 350. So that's a good trade-off. I mean, I would still say that's very much up there as far as the range is concerned. But of course it has to be. This car costs over £100,000. In fact, the one I'm driving today costs £112,000. But like I mentioned in the previous video, it has so much tech in this car, it's unbelievable. What I do want to do is I want to put the car in sport mode, which is where you get that Hans Zimmer soundtrack. And I'm just gonna slow it right down, and let's see how well this car picks up speed. Starting to get some of the sun shining off these crystal dials. Oh yeah, that's an M car. That is definitely feeling like an M car. It just slaps you from the back. You can feel all that power coming from the back pushing you forward. Almost feels like it wheelies a little. Oh, that can get so addictive. Whew, I am pinned back into my seat when that happens. And you know what? It is so calm and composed throughout it all. The steering wheel doesn't squirrel about. It keeps straight and true. That's because of the torque that you get from the electric motor. Check this out. So cool. Honestly, I am surprised. I did not expect to like this car so much. I like the iX xDrive 40, but this car is claiming to be an M car, and that is a big claim, especially from a company like BMW, who more recently have not done really well with their, let's say, their designs. Their new M2 doesn't look amazing, or at least the spy shots that we've seen. I really hope that the final product isn't like that. But when it comes to executing driving dynamics, there's a reason why BMW is the ultimate driving machine.
But is it too expensive? You can certainly save over £30,000 and go for the xDrive 40. But if you're really wanting the extra pace of the M60, then be prepared to shell out well over £1,000 a month.
So I've just stopped here for a second because I've just discovered something in this car which I found quite interesting. When I put the car into, there's a few different modes that you can put in: sport, efficient. There's a relax mode, and when you put into relax mode, I don't know if you can get this sound in the video, but there's this sort of very calming, relaxing sound going on in the background. which is pretty cool. You can't turn it up or down, but it is really relaxing. But the thing that I found so crazy is that when you move, it goes louder. And when you take your foot off the accelerator, it goes quieter. So whereby you can't put the sound higher or lower, you have to turn the sound up by pressing the accelerator. Interesting.